All right, this joke was sent in by Fish On, and we've got his prizes here that we will send out. There's some hard bodies and some gulps and whatnot, but we'll send them out. So that was pretty easy to get your prize. Harry, what's the joke?
What is the fastest liquid on Earth?
What is the fastest liquid on Earth? I don't know. What is the fastest liquid on Earth?
Milk.
Milk?
Yes, it pasteurized before you can see it.
It's pasteurized before you can... Well, as I said, doesn't matter about the quality of the jokes. Get them in. Ah, wow. Looks like we're on and it looks like we're working. Type in the comments. Make sure you get your postcodes in the comments. It is Tuesday night. You're not seeing things. Good evening, Brett, Nicole, Lisa, Luke, Shane. Listen, we normally do go Monday nights, but we had a outage on the app last night, which made it a bit hard to go ahead. A bit of a panic stations, whatever hair I did have, I did end up losing. I'd like to thank everyone for the kind comments last night. I know it was a bit of a nightmare at this end, but yeah, look, everyone's in with a chance of something going wrong. We've had 34 shows this year, and look, that was the first one that hasn't gone ahead, so that's what happens. Look, yeah, as I said, put your postcodes in. There is a postcode prize tonight. I do have the postcode box. I will pick that out for the people that don't know or haven't seen the postcode prize before. Harry, my son, is inside watching. He's my biggest supporter, and at some stage during the night, he will send me a text message with a random postcode that he thinks is a cool name or a cool town name, or just that he thinks should win it. So it's all at random. Harry doesn't know who you all are, so he picks it at random. So that's the postcode prize for Joke of the Week. So we've got the prizes here. I'm going to go out to Joke of the Week. This is the second one going to Fish On. Now, I forget, Fish On, what your actual name, real name is. You send your jokes in through my YouTube channel. So, yeah, Harry likes the joke. You will be, able to win a prize. So I'm just checking to make sure that it's all going through. Everyone's still on. Random. Yes, we've got Tristan. G'day, Shane. Nick. How's the audio? Give us a few thumbs up and make sure that this camera's working, because I don't want to embarrass Bill again tonight. We are here. That's good stuff. So, listen, I need to give a bit of a shout out. Now, we've over the last 3 weeks, we've been raising money for Tim Stenhouse, and he's a close friend of the show. He's been on before and just recently had a stroke after his big maiden win up at Kenya. So we decided we were going to get together, the fishing community, use the Pay It Forward campaign and raise some money for Tim. And I was actually talking to Tim during the week. Now, I want to show you this here, lovely photo that Tim did send through. This is his first bass post-stroke, and the amount of work that went into catching that fish was absolutely amazing. When he told me the story, he had to get doctors and physio's approval. He had to stand on a board, and they had to push him to make sure that he could keep his balance. He actually went to the doctors this week and forgot to put one shoe on, I think was the story, but I'm sure Tim's on watching and he'll update us on that. But this week we are auctioning off the big one. So the big one is charter for all you New South Wales supporters and all the guys out in New South Wales. Graham Ford has donated a charter. So Graham is actually up in Queensland fishing the Barra events at the moment, so we won't be doing it over the next couple of weeks. We're working with that, but put your bids in. So postcodes and bids into the comments. So we're looking for decent bids. We want to raise as much money as we can for Tim, and I just love that crooked smile, Tim. It doesn't matter what you say. So thanks very much for that. Let's make sure I've gone through my notes. We've talked about Tim. Just a quick shout out for you guys that haven't seen it. A couple of weeks ago, we dropped the big bombshell that Teams Fishing Australia is bringing out 3 separate comps next year, which is a bass round, a yellow belly round, and a cod round. So if you look at those 3 events, huge prize money. I think it's two 20 grand payouts and a 30 grand payout. We've been asking for this sort of thing. For these tournament directors, they need you to enter early so they can get all their insurances and prize money and all that done. So make sure you look up Teens Fishing Australia on Facebook and on the internet and put your entries in if you're going to go. I know that some people, including myself, is on. And the last shout out I've got to give, Matthew Langford, very close friend of the show. He's been on half a dozen times, does a guest spot every now and again. He's dropping his new video on his Facebook page and YouTube channel next Sunday, 15th to the 11th, 2020 at 6 p.m. I've actually had a short preview of this, and it is TV quality, guys. So if you're looking for something to watch about tournament fishing and get the insight into one of the best tournament fishers, get on to that next week at 6 p.m. on Sunday night. So we've got a bid in already, $150. Thanks, Brady, for that bid. Let's see if we can keep that bid going up. It is a $550 charter. So all the money is going directly to Tim. Whoever wins it tonight, I will be sending Tim's bank account details directly to you. It's not a GoFundMe page. So I've got to have a drink. I am so relaxed tonight. After last night's issues, it's, yeah. Look, what do? We're here to talk to our third person for the Alloycraft Brand Ambassadors program. And Bill Latimer was one of the early entries, keen as mustard to get his entry in. I've been looking forward to this chat all week, but we had to put it off last night. So the pressure is on him to perform tonight, and we'll see how he goes. We do have the, as everyone knows, the random five, lots of different questions to ask. So we'll get into those, but let's bring him on and have a quick chat. So let's make sure that I unmute him here. G'day, mate. How you going?
Yeah, really well. Corey, yourself?
I'm very well. Look, I'm super excited and super apologetic at the very same time. We had some balls ups last night. You were in the background watching Nikki and I yell at each other, and quite peacefully sitting there waiting for us to get our technical stuff done. But all jokes aside, we finally got on tonight, so I do apologise for last night, mate.
Yeah, not a problem at all. We're here now, so we can get into it. So it's all good.
That's it. So as I said, Brad's job, Bluefin Boats. You know, it's a 2-year program. So you know, it's going to be a life changer for some people, and it's just the quality of the applicants like yourself has been absolutely brilliant. I'm actually loving every one of yous, and everyone that makes the top 10. I'm hoping that I can continue on in some sort of mentorship as it goes forward anyway. But, you know, what's it mean? What would it mean to you to win, mate?
Well, as far as it goes, I've spent the last couple of years really trying to focus on what I want to do. And at the start of this year, I put that into plan. And that was to start fishing the ABTs and get into the tournament fishing scene. I had a lot of help from some local guys like Brett Hyde and Greg Burke and a couple of other crew that were coes as well with Bridget and also Shano. So to win it and be able to move my plan forward in a way that I'd never thought I could at this early stage would just be such an amazing step forward. The boat is, like, don't get me wrong, the boat's an amazing package. It's such a big foot up if I can get into that boat. But the mentorship is where I see a massive, massive growth part of this. Being able to be mentored by people who are already doing what I want to do, so I can learn off them and then hopefully one day be able to give mentorship to other people. That's exactly where I want to be.
Yeah, look, you're so right. And I mean, it's as valuable as what you want to get out of it. I mean, it's like any, for me, like any coaching role I've ever done, I'm here to support and coach and help everyone out. And but for you guys, it's absolutely up to you what you want to get out of it, isn't it? You know, the situation where you're at a comp and you go by yourself, it's very, very hard. But you've been lucky enough. You got under Brady Hyde's wing, the perennial co-boater until he bought the boat a couple of years ago. He's got the big bass boat now and out doing the boater scene. So he's a great example of somebody that would know the ins and outs of co-boating.
Oh, very much so. And there's been plenty of conversations over the nights leading up to comps, while we're at comps and camping. And with Bretto, we don't camp, we stay in houses, so that's all right, that works too. But yeah, there's been many conversations about how it all works, and just the opportunities that have come up from just knowing these guys and actually just going, yes, I'm going to do this, and taking that step and doing it. That was the biggest part of it, and they were really good at helping push you to that point as well.
Yep, I was lucky enough to fish with Brett a few years ago at a Mega Bucks when ABT never had the Australian Open. They used to have what they called the Mega Bucks. It was always held directly after the grand final, and we had a stonking weekend that weekend, and then they called the Mega Bucks off. We were looking forward to going back and winning it the year after, but it never happened. So, no, Bretty's a very, very handy fisherman, good to have around you, and has volunteered his time as well, that if I can't make it up to those New South Wales river rounds, that he will help out. So, this is what I really, really like. I'm getting people saying that they can't get me on Facebook, but that's all right. Timmy Steinhouse, one thing that he hasn't lost is his sense of humour. So let's bring this one straight up. After winning the Queensland Open, I'm now mentoring Matty Langford. So good on you, Tim. I love that you haven't lost your sense of humour, mate, and keep it rolling. So, that's just the way that it is. I'm a bit distracted in the background. I better get some questions to you. What do you reckon?
Yeah, let's fire away.
If I get some questions to you, and that gives me some time to click some things on the screen, I think, mate. So let's go. 1 to 5. What do you want to choose?
5.
5. Number 5. That's easy. I feel like a guess. A host of a sale of the century or something. All right. So we've done a little bit of question 1. So we'll skip over that. Tell us about yourself. Let's go into a little bit more detail and tell us about yourself.
So I'm from northern New South Wales, Lismore. So I've grown up in between fresh and salt water my whole life, and never really got full into the fishing scene until probably 10 or 12 years ago, when I started getting into it a lot more and really narrowing in on the species that I wanted to chase. I'm up here with my wife, Amana, and I've got my 3 kids up here. I've got Taj, Ollie and Violet. Thank God they're all at school age, so we can have some routine with the house, as you could imagine with 3 kids. I work locally as well, but at the end of the day, I just love being outdoors. I love being around other people, other like-minded people, and just enjoying what we can do in the area that I live in. So, yeah, I'm a very passionate person. I'm a goal setter too. I really find being able to set things out in front of me and not necessarily plan them out so they can be done as a tick box and go through it, because if you can't get to that goal, you've already learned something and you can work out a way to get to it later. So I'm a very passionate, very driven person.
Yeah, look, I got to meet the family before when we were setting it up. I was a bit nervous, so we called the kids in. We had a quick chat. They're all excited about the whole program. It's really good to see, kids out there fishing. And you've said that you've got 2 that are, one that's into fishing really, really bad, one that's just getting into it. You're going to have your hands full going forward.
Oh, yeah. And having a boat to put them in will be so much easier than trying to untangle lines on the riverbank when they've cast into a tree on the same side they're casting from.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Yeah.
I once had my older son, Connor, who was actually an applicant for this this competition. He once cast a lure straight into my youngest one's head and knocked him out when we were all fishing. So I know, lucky there was no hooks embedded, but it was quite a funny weekend, that one.
Oh man, they do some crazy stuff out there.
They do, but it keeps us on our toes, and I believe having kids around you is supposed to keep you feeling young. That's why I've had 4 kids. If you have a look at me, I'm probably about 90 years old. So.
My wife keeps telling me the more kids I've had, the less mature I've become.
Yeah, well, growing up is only an option, mate. That's my motto.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah. So, listen, we've got a heap of people on, and I think we'll just keep pumping through the questions. You comfortable at the moment?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. What was holding you back from taking the next step in the sport?
So I spent 2019 sort of like fishing a fair bit, but not quite feeling like I was at a level that I should move on to the next step. And I quickly found out after putting some people around me that are in the sport that there is no right time. And as far as it goes, you're not going to find out how you can be in the sport until you actually just step out of your comfort zone and go for it. So when it got to the end of 2019, I sat down with my wife and just said, look, next year I'm not doing any other sport because I've been a soccer player my whole life, and the last couple of years I stopped that and started playing a bit of five-a-side socially. So I was still out there having a bit of a go at some sport around the area. But I decided to put all that aside and really focus on getting myself prepared for the comps that were coming up. So I started fishing more regularly in the local comps to get a bit more of the feel for it and meet some guys as well. And just took the plunge. At the end of last year when they opened up the registration, first thing I did was registered for every event I could afford to register for. And that way it was set in stone, put my leave in for work, told them where I was going to be going and the days I needed off, and planned it all out so we could get ahead. I mean, COVID got in the way, as it did with a lot of people, but still got 3 rounds in, and it was something I have never regretted at any point in time. And if I could fish one of these every month in the ABT and be a part of it, then I would.
Yeah. Oh, look, as I've said, it's not a cheap sport by any stretch of the imagination. You know, it's time consuming at the best of times. And if you look at the top guys, your Graham Fords and your Matty Langfords are great examples. Both charter operators. Spend massive amount of time on the water. Dean Sylvester, for probably the 3 years before that, you know, he would go up and pre-fish a dam 3 weekends in a row before the comp went on. So massive time away from family and whatnot. It is a big investment, but, you know, the rewards are there. If you spend the time on the water, you will get the rewards. It's like any sport. You know, I use golf as an example. What's the difference between a 5 handicapper and a Nord handicapper? Basically just time on the golf course, isn't it?
Yeah, very much so. And that's it. A lot of these places that we go and fish from only moving into this level of the sport recently, I haven't fished. So having people around me, I can bounce ideas off about what sort of gear I'll need to go up there, what you normally catch. Because when it comes down to it, depending on what time of the year you're there, it can be a completely different bite. You could throw soft plastics one day when you're there and then go back a couple of months later and they're not going to look at a soft plastic because they're on a jig bite now.
Yeah. So how do you find your skills with adjusting quickly like that? Being new to the sport, some of these older guys have got years of experience behind them. How do you find yourself in the sense of being able to adjust? Are you waiting for your boater to adjust, or are you coming up with some of these plans before your boater makes their decision?
I usually have a plan of attack before I go. So I usually set my arsenal up with what I know will be working at that time of year from the research I've done, because I feel like if I can be prepared, there's no reason that if it doesn't work, you can always change what you're doing if you're pre-fishing. So you can look at it from a point of view of your pre-fish is a testing day because you're on the water, you can see what's happening. So you might throw a jig for a while and then they just don't bite it. So then you move to something different and keeps rotating. But I feel like I've got a plan with general stuff of what I need to have on board and what I'll have tied on. And I'll always have conversations with our boaters beforehand, because this year there was the added advantage that we got given the information of who our boaters were on the Thursday before we got to the tournament. So we were able to have a conversation with these guys and work a plan of attack out. So I would always make sure I was really courteous to the guys on the boat, make sure I did everything that they wanted me to do, because they've invested in these boats, in everything that they're doing, in their tournaments, in their life. And I don't want to stop them doing that. I want to help them with what they're doing as well. So having that available to me by being able to talk to these guys, like my first boater was Kyle Lewis down in St. Clair. And
I have to say, to crack Kyle at St. Clair is a pretty good draw straight up, isn't it?
Yeah, and me being who I am, and I didn't know who Kyle was at the time. When I met him, it was just like two mates just catching up on the boat and going for a fish for 2 days, because he was happy to have me on the boat for the pre-fish too, which was amazing. So and what better way to get introduced to the sport than have a guy like Kyle on your first day?
Hell of a nice guy, and as I said, I've fished against him. The boy can fish, so I say to everyone is to join these comps and these ABTs with Morgos, who shares wins rules, with the co-boater separating between three boats. As a co-boater, you can learn. It's like paying for a cheap charter, because how much is a co-boater entry for ABT this year? 170.
150.
150. So you pay 150 to enter and chip in a bit of fuel here and there. And if a charter costs you 550, it's the cheapest charter you'll get, isn't it?
Oh, exactly. And because with the bass setup, you're fishing as a team. There's a real camaraderie on the boats, because you find that if somebody's onto something and it's working, then you'll both team up and do the same thing. Or if what happened with Matty Langford when he won down at St Clair, I think it was Mal
Draper. Yeah,
Mal Draper he was fishing with. They teamed up in the way that Langers fished surface, and then if he missed any bites that just short striked his lure, then Mal was throwing in an eye wave just below the surface to get those just shy fish to come up and eat the fish, and got the biggest fish of the tournament, and they both won.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about. And that's what I've seen as a change in the last few years of the ABT. I know a lot of people, and mainly the older stalwarts, don't like the shared weight scenario, and they don't like but I can see the sport growing from this. This is something that I do like, is the fact that people are getting along. There's more information being shared. I can tell you stories when I first coed, where you'd be on the front and you'd ask the boater what to throw, and you say, well, you're down the back, you do what you want. And you're like, oh, what am I learning here? And then you'd see them catch a fish, and they'd think they're smart enough that they'd put their rod down and grab a different lure and try and pull it out of the fish's mouth to try and trick you that they caught it on something different, and you're standing on the same boat with them. That's how bad it was back in the day. Now with that shared weight, it's all shared, and everyone's getting along. There doesn't seem to be as much segregation as groups. There's not his group here and that group there and that group there. Everyone sort of turns up to briefings and weigh-ins and gets along. It's sort of a very good crowd at the ABT at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a really, really real community of people.
Yep. So you've set yourself a goal. You're a goal setter. So the next question's all about setting goals. So where do you see yourself in 12 months? Then we'll take it out to 5 years. And then we'll take it out to 10 years.
So what I had written down for myself personally was, start this year. So the first was 12 months of fishing the ABT to get my head around how it all works and meet people and just improve on my fishing in general, which I've been trying to get out on the water more. I've been trying to fish places locally that I haven't fished as much to get better acquainted with different kinds of fishing that I haven't been able to do as much. The other thing was get my boat license, which I've done. So that first 12 months has worked out pretty well, except for the fact that obviously a couple of our tournaments got shut down because we couldn't fish them, but everyone's in that boat. So the 3-year plan I had, so just shy of the 5, was in after the end of the 3rd year, start of the 4th year, was to have a boat purchase at the end of that 3rd year and start boating in my 4th year of the ABT. One of the main reasons for that was to soak up the information with all these people that we're going to be fishing with and that we meet and just talk to and just have conversations with, like we've had conversations this week over the phone.
Yeah.
And then I would have fished a lot of these places too, so I would have a better knowledge base of where I was going and what I would be planning to do before I got there, because I didn't want to be in the boat driving with someone that comes in for the first time and I turn to him and go, or her to go, well, what do you want to do today? Where are we going to fish? Like, well, how are we going to fish this place? So I'd like to be able to guide and mentor as I've been mentored already in the short time I've been there. So the 5-year plan would be compete in as a boater in the ABT. And then the 10-year plan would be to really take it to the next level and do my own charters. That's really where I want to be. It would be freshwater charters mainly, but I wouldn't cut out saltwater because of where we live and the fact that it's so accessible for a lot of people. And a lot of the time when people do go on charters, if they're not die-hard fishermen, I feel like a bend in their rod is what they're chasing. They're chasing that feeling of a fish on the end of their line. So the 10-year plan would be to run my own charter, run it in estuaries and also run it in freshwater. And to do that, to have the backing of people like we do in the sport, to have people in our lives like with Brett and Berkey, yourself and all the guys that are on tour, it's amazing. And having the backing of my family and the support they give me, there's been some big decisions that we've been looking at making recently. And like all along the way, there has never been, oh no, we can't do that. It's like, okay, how can we make this work? How can we go about doing this together so we can all get to a place together?
Yeah, that's great. And you can't do it without family support. My family's inside. Nikki's a fishing wife. She knows what it's all about when the fishing season's on. She's followed me through my football career. When football season was on, I was always at footy and training and coaching and stuff like that. You can't do it without family for sure. Let's track back. Let's go back a little bit to, say, maybe the first question, what was holding you back from entering the sport, and throwing in sort of where you're at in 3 years' time. How would winning this mentorship change your timeframes, do you think?
I reckon the main thing would be with the mentorship side of things, it would be opening up the avenues to have these conversations with people more regularly. Like as far as it goes now, like I said, I've got the guys locally that I bounce a lot of ideas off and talk to quite regularly, but having the broader spectrum of people from further abroad, so down around the southern dams, up around the northern dams and all the time they've spent there, and being able to just pick up the phone and say if it's Matthew Langford or Graham Ford or yourself or any of those guys, and just being able to have a conversation to really help yourself cement in what you are trying to do and how you're trying to do it. I think Timmy Steinhaus even said it. He went out for a fish before the Cania Open up in Queensland, and he went with Langers. And after what he did with Langers on the boat, he went out and won it. And that was purely from a couple of mates being out on the boat going for a fish. And I feel like the mentorship's going to open up stuff like that, not necessarily jumping out and going for a fish with them every time before a comp, but just even the conversations that can be had. And I feel with having people around you in your life, if you have like-minded people around you that have like-minded goals or places they're trying to be in their life, then it really helps cement in what you're trying to do and always like emphasizes the point of where you're trying to be and how you're trying to get there.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure the whole Timmy Steinhaus scenario went that Timmy went up there socially, and Matty was just looking for somebody to come up while he pre-fished. And Matty said to him, "You should be fishing this, Tim." And it ended up that he ended up fishing it and winning it. You know, he wasn't even planning on fishing it.
Yeah.
But that's what it's all about, is a little bit of a nudge from maybe Langers to get him to, you know, it doesn't matter how big a boat you've got. It doesn't matter how big a motor you've got. Just get out there and do it. Do you think a lot of people hold back and use that whole co-boater thing as an excuse? Oh, I'm going to learn more, because they're just they haven't got anyone there to help them out in a mentorship type role.
I feel like having the mentorship program would definitely help people get past that, maybe just that perception that they're not good enough to be able to do something. Because at the end of the day, like with the example with Tim, he was the smallest boat in the field, but he still went out and won it against some guys who were running boats that were much bigger and faster and, you know, maybe had better electronics on it, whatever it may be. But it's definitely one of those things that is just going to be able to can you just repeat the question just again for me?
Yeah, so basically, would the mentorship, you know, speed up, I suppose, your choice of going into competitions? You've said sort of co-boating for 2 or 3 years and then stepping up as a boater. With having a mentor there, do you think it's easier to it'll be easier to step into that boating role? You're going to win a boat, so is it going to be easier for you or harder for you?
I don't think the answer here would be easier or harder. I believe that having that mentorship is going to give you the push. So you're going to have the push from these guys that are doing what you're striving to do, and having their insight in striving towards what you're trying to do will be a massive help. And like anybody who's trying to get into the sport, sometimes you've just got to take that step of faith and go out there and do it. And having the boat available, fully ready to go, as well as having the mentorship, I could definitely see it bringing it forward. But I believe that would come down to a personal thing in regards to, maybe you were trying to fish them for 3 years, but you're only able to make it to 1 or 2 events a year, as opposed to you made it to every single event for 3 years, where I feel like you would be a lot better set up if you were making a lot more events, so you could be more versed in where you were going to go fishing.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, excellent. Sorry, I cut you off there. Did you want to say a little bit more, or?
Oh, no, that's it. That's all good.
I do have a tendency to talk a lot, so I'm trying to let you do as much talking as possible. With the boat and the package and everything else that's going through, where do you think that you could see the program going in the future? Where would you see the growth in the program? This is not just a one-off. We're hoping to do this over a period of time. Obviously, say you won it this year and decided, in 2 years' time that you want to do that. Well, we roll the program again. So, is there any improvements we could do in the program that you can see so far?
Well, when it comes down to it, the 2 years with the boat would open up so much, and with the mentorship, it's just an amazing opportunity. And to be the first to do it, I feel like there'll probably be other people who might try and jump on board and copy what you guys have done, because it's next level, the opportunity that it offers up to people in our sport, in our lives. And as far as it goes, I feel like there will be, if somebody wins the boat and the mentorship, there could even be a stage where they get to the point before the 2 years that they feel like they're ready to step up, and they could go in a bit earlier.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with that, and that's one thing that we've sort of, Brad and I have talked about. But in the sense of, getting out there, I know Langers has a theory that you're only 2 bites away from winning it, and that all come back from when it was a 2-fish limit. I know ABT's got a 5-fish limit now, and different comps have got different limits and so on and so forth. But, you realistically, you can catch 5 fish in 5 casts, so you can win a comp in the last 3 minutes. So people have different theories on that for sure. So, just get out there and do it. That's what I say. Let's look at the next question. Have you got any questions for me?
Yeah, so when you first started on the tournament scene, you were co-boating as well?
I'll show you my age now. I had a little bit of time off in between, but I started right back doing more a family style come back in the day, like the Kirkley Classic at Somerset, and it was a lot of trolling and stuff like that. It was before all the bass boats come in. It was a lot. I think one guy, it might have been, say, Jason Ehrlich or Moddy, had an electric motor on the front of their boat, and we thought they were king. The rest of it was all done in trolling and stuff like that. And I got the cold shoulder from a few of the so-called guns, so I left the sport for a few years. And then when I got back involved at the parks at Boondoomer, looking after Boondoomer, and I was too busy, to go out and fish the comps. You got 120 guys there fishing a competition. We used to do food packages. Anyway, they were short for a boater at one competition, so I used Drew's boat. It was a Bass Nation, I think, and I went out with a co-boater, and we brained it. I think I come second or something like that, and I was hooked from there on in, and I had to hire extra staff every time there was a comp come to one of the dams, and I was just hooked from there, and I did every comp from there on in. I think I only coed for 3 rounds. I had an argument with one of my boaters over some issues of travel and whatnot. So I thought, no, I'm just going to boat, or I'm just going to do it myself. So I backed my own confidence in, I suppose. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, no, that's awesome to hear, because it was a very different time back then with the way it was set up. Like we said earlier, now it's a very team atmosphere on the boat, especially with the bass rounds.
Yeah. My first experience was, you'll camp with this person or you'll camp with that one. I wasn't interested in that sort of politics. I'm going there to fish. So that's a good question, though. Do you feel you're ready to do your challenge? And we can go back into some questions later on. I think we need to knock over your challenge, mate.
Yeah, that's far away. Ready to go.
Yep. So I'll explain to everyone that's on there watching. So each week, Brad's giving a different challenge to these guys to do because it's easy. We say it's easy, but it's hard to edit up. It's easy to edit up something to get all your words right. To do it live is a whole different scenario. So Bill sent me through a video that I'm going to play. He's going to narrate, and he can explain it all to you. Do you want to do a brief rundown or just click it straight up, mate?
No, as far as it goes, just thanks, Brad, for sending out the challenge. We're all ready to go. So this one's going out for Bluefin Boats. And, let's get into it. So you just let me know when you hit play.
Righty, I'm going to put it up on the screen, and we're going to be playing now, mate. You're all good.
Have you ever been standing on the bank of a river, dam or estuary and seen a boat go by and think, I want that boat? Well, this is that boat. The Bluefin Scoundrel SC is the ultimate all-round package boat. Whether it's for a day on the water with the family, out for a fish with a mate, or even waiting for your name to be called out when you're about to launch at the start of your first or 50th tournament, the Bluefin Scoundrel SC has you sorted. Don't just take my word for it. Let's talk to Jono. Jono currently owns... Thanks, Jono, for taking the time to sit down with us and have a chat about the Bluefin Scoundrel SC. I'm going to ask you a few questions just to get your information on the boat, just so we can let the viewers know what you like about the product that you purchased. Why the Bluefin Scoundrel SC over the other major brands? What stood out for you?
Probably the best feature was the underfloor fuel tank as a standard option. Obviously, they do have a lot of features, but having that a 67-litre fuel tank under the floor means that you're not toting around tanks. You get increased deck space, and you also get the range for a small boat to be able to travel to the Bay Islands like we do up here in Brisbane.
Excellent. And what size motor do you have in the back of your Scoundrel?
Just the 50. I know they're rated for the 60, but I've got the 50, and I think we've propped it right, and it's a nice balance on the economy as well as the whole shot and top speed. I think we top out at around about the 32, 33 knots on a nice day. Mostly cruise around.
What is your main use you've got for the Scoundrel?
Mainly recreation. I mean, spending the weekends out in the water with the kids and catching. We mainly do a lot of prawning up here, as well as fishing for whiting in the winter months. But mainly summertime we chase prawns all the time. Which is a good fun form of fishing that we do up here in southeast Queensland. And the Scoundrel's just a great platform for it. It's really nice and stable. Everyone's always constantly walking around the decks when you're throwing nets, and if you've got 2 or 3 people on board, the boat's still nice. You've got enough room while still being able to get up the creeks and into all the nice little places that you need to. Now you've got a group of 10 or 15 boats. Generally we look like we're the most stable. Was there any extra options that weren't on it that you threw in to suit your needs? Not really. I mean, the boat's pretty much optioned straight out of the factory. I mean, you've got underfloor, the fuel tank, obviously, bilge tank, plumbed life bait tank, cast deck, storage. Obviously, the side console's a nice option. So you've got areas to mount your sounder. The only thing I did was upgraded the sounder to a nice 9-inch to make it a little bit easier to read.
The Scoundrel itself is built on an easy ride hull, which brings the beam forward to create the stability that you were talking about while you were prawning. It also has excellent class-leading features like the reverse chines to keep you drier when you're in the boat. How do you find the ride and stability of this boat overall?
Look, honestly, the ride is a phenomenal ride. Like, we do long distances to Moreton, and obviously when you pick your days, it's just nice and glassy across the bay. The stability at rest, I would say, would be one of the best features. Just even when you're anchored up, standing on the front cast deck, because it is wider in the front, that nose the bow just drops down, and you do really feel nice and safe and secure. Even when you're going out over to places like Moreton and things, we've added out, and we've been caught out a few times when it's been rough, and obviously you have to slow down once the wind gets over that 15 to 20. But there's never been a time when I've actually felt unsafe in the vessel, regardless of the seas that we're in.
What would be your advice to a potential buyer of the Bluefin Scoundrel SC?
Look, for the value for money, it's a lot of boat for what you're paying for them, especially considering like all the standard options, all the standard inclusions are options on quite a lot of the other boats. And they're just a good value for money, small estuary bay tinny. I mean, we were quite surprised when we compared like the Scoundrel to everything else is that on the market. And you look at what all the boxes that it does tick, and then you look at the other ones and you go, well, I have to do this, and this. Straight out of the factory. They're a really well optioned boat, and being that it's all factory option, everything's been put in and thought about rather than being an afterthought and added to at a later stage.
The amazing specs this boat offers, such as easy ride hull, 5-year warranty, side console, 67-litre underfloor fuel tank, this boat is ready to hit the water. Options such as live well, rod locker, extended front cast deck to make this Bluefin Scoundrel your very own. The Scoundrel SC from Bluefin Aluminium Boats, built with pride. I can't hear you, Corey.
Right, I'll do that, and you might be able to hear me. Click the right button. So that's absolutely amazing that you actually tracked down an owner of a Scoundrel boat.
Yeah, I did. So big thanks to Brad for having a chat with me during the week as well. And it was really, really great to have a chat to someone who owns one and really have a sit down and just to get to know somebody who's got one and get the information on it. The things he did let me know about the boat as well was, he said when they're out prawning, which he does a lot up around his area, was there'd be about 12 or 15 boats in the one spot. And he could visibly see with everybody prawning that his vessel was the most stable on the water out of all of them. So, yeah, it was really good.
Excellent. So that's 3 boat reviews we've had. And I can tell you that our guest next week, who's been on, I've seen some comments in there from Lisa Craig. Lisa, we announced that last night that she'll be on next week's show, is actually not doing a boat review. So for all of you top 10 that think that the next one's going to be a boat review, they're not all boat reviews. We can't just imagine getting a 3.95 tinny with nothing in it to try and review for 5 minutes. It'd be a bit hard. That was a good job. All right, let's get it. I'm going to throw a couple of harder questions at you.
Fire away.
Rightio. What do you think the brand ambassador, meaning you, should commit in order to repay the capital investment in them?
I believe time's a big thing. And as being family men as we are, we know that time can be very short a lot of the time. So being able to visibly have the brand out there while doing what you love is going to be something that will show how much the brand means to you and how much you respect the brand and how much you have value in that brand. For starters, when it comes down to putting back into the Bluefin and Alloycraft boats, it comes down to that it's my brand selling that brand. And that's a big part of what I'm going to be doing, is I'm going to be my own brand, selling this product and showing people what it can do. If my wife permitted, I'd be out on the water every day, but we all know that's not going to happen. And she's watching right now and probably shaking her head. So, so time is a huge thing. Even simple things like just the way that you carry yourself in your day-to-day things, whether it be work, whether it be social life, whether it even just be in family circles, just being a real down-to-earth, Aussie bloke or woman, but I'm going to say bloke because I'm a bloke, can be enough to help show people who you are and that they trust you and respect you enough to make a decision on what you're doing. They see value in what you're doing and how you do it and what products you use. And that's how people go out and go, oh, I'm going to buy this kind of rod. I'm going to use that one because this person uses it and they're really good at what they do and I really like their brand that they have and how they carry themselves.
Yeah. Look, I love it. I love it. You've stated exactly what I've been telling everyone through, and I will continue to tell everyone in the top 10. You are a brand. You've got to look after your brand. Why does Toyota want to give Matthew Langford a car for 12 months to drive around in? Not because he's a dick, because his brand is solid. So it's making your brand solid. And being true to yourself will always show in what you sell. We never want to see the old what do you call them, used car salesman, sort of theory with any of the sales. If you're naturally in love with a product, you will naturally sell it without even trying.
Oh, yeah, 100%. That's exactly how it is because you just don't even notice it and you've brought it into conversations you're having in day to day.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So let's go. You've answered a lot of the extra questions, so that's really good. All right. What are your thoughts on now? I'll say this with a warning. All right.
Well, that's worrying.
I don't want you to think that you have to toe the company line on this, and I don't want a 2-word answer. Right. So let's go straight in and see how long you can go with. What are your thoughts on loyalty?
Loyalty. Well, it's just one of those things that I've been brought up with. Like being loyal or respectful in my life is something that has been ingrained into me. As far as it goes with loyalty in regards to, are we talking about brand? Are we talking about general life? Everything? Yep. I'm a married man, and my wife means the world to me, and I don't want to do anything in my life that would ever stuff that up. And same with my kids. I want my kids to know that no matter what happens in life, they can always rely on me, whether it's the middle of the night, early hours of the morning, they think they've done something that they shouldn't have done, they still can call me and I will come and get them, because in life, being loyal to just loyal in general, is a trait that not many people, I guess, hold dear nowadays in the way that the world has turned and been. And it's very different from, 50, 60 years ago with how it's all run with social media and everything that's there. But being loyal to me is being honest, is being upfront, and being an open book in regards to who you are, what you want to be, and where you're going to be. Yeah,
look, yeah, for sure. Just because you make a mistake doesn't mean you're unloyal. Everyone in this world will make a mistake. That is a great answer. I love it. All right. Would you believe we've been on I've been talking 52 minutes. So you've been going for about 45. That's gone pretty quick. Tristan, who's a previous applicant, he's got a quick question there. Let's do the postcode prize before we do. Well, I remember it. James Stewart, I think it's Gerrards Hill 2480. That's James Stewart. You've actually won the postcode prize. So if you can send me through your details to my Facebook page in a private message, like your address, I will send you out the postcode prize this week. And currently, I think we are sitting on, Adrian Young is leading with $170 for the 40 charter. And I know that Adrian's already been out on a charter for 40, so bid him up a little bit. I know you want that one. So no worries, James. That's excellent. So we've given away the postcode prize. We've given away the joke prize. Don't forget to personal message me some jokes through for Harry so he can say them on next week's show. They will no doubt, it's an easy way to win a prize if you're looking for an easy way to get your joke through. Oh, mate, how you feeling?
Yeah, good, comfortable. Let's have another sip of this.
Well, that's my job. So hopefully I've done my job well enough to make you feel comfortable.
No, we're all good. We're doing heaps better than we did last night.
I've had about 6 Canadian clubs. I'm rocking. It's all good. All right, let's go with this one. This will be my last of the normal questions. Then I'll throw you the situational question, and we might actually give it up. But I was going to bring Tristan's up. So Tristan said, if we don't win, will you take me out and another entrant on the boat and the ABT in the near future? So Tristan reckons you must be going all right, is what he's saying there, I think.
Yeah, I mean, like we've said with the ABT stuff, who shares wins. As far as it goes, if I'm a boater in any event and any coe wants to jump on with me for a pre-fish, just send me a message. I'm happy to take anybody out on the day. I'd probably try and keep it to just 2 people on the boat while we're doing that, just so there's, plenty of room for everything to be done, and we don't overload it with 40 rods at a time and end up snapping half of them before we even get into the comp. But definitely, I want to be the guy that people can go to and have a chat to no matter what. And just, my boat will be an open boat if anybody wants to jump onto it, definitely.
I think by reading the comments, mate, you're already that guy that people go to. You've got some wonderful people on there giving you some wonderful shout-outs. So that's awesome to see that you've got the backing. And, if you do get through to the next stage, you'll have a little bit more backing. But obviously you've got a big crowd on there giving you some shout-outs. So I was going to ask you one last question, wasn't I? Let's make it a doozy. Being a sponsored angler is a great achievement, but does come with, sorry, I'll say that again. I started on that one. Being a sponsored angler is a great achievement, but does come with responsibilities. What do you think are the 3 main things a company is looking for?
3 main things a sponsored angler for a company. I'd say the first one would be someone they can trust. I feel like trust would be a huge thing. Because you don't want somebody to be out there supporting your brand and being an ambassador or the face of part of your company that's going to tarnish that. So it would be honesty, so being able to trust somebody. The second one would be someone that's actually a real person that can talk to people as well. I feel like communication in this world tends to be very limited in a lot of spaces. So I feel like having somebody that people are happy to approach and comfortable to approach, and someone that is happy and comfortable to approach other people in regards to things, is definitely another thing that a company would be looking for in someone to help them out with their brand as a sponsorship. And I guess the last one, we're talking fishing brands, aren't we? Or are we talking in general?
Sponsored angler. So, fishing brands, yeah. Yeah.
So you'd want someone charismatic. I think charisma would be something that would be really handy to have and very important at the same time, because a charismatic person can bring people into their world, into their life in a very short, small period of time that then hooks that person in with that product and with that person. Like I was saying earlier, the person who would be sponsored, they are their own brand while using this other brand and being sponsored and supporting that other product as well. So someone who's charismatic and able to promote themselves while doing what they love and have other brands promoted through what they do would be a massive plus for someone. If I was looking to sponsor someone, that they're the 3 things I would be looking for. I don't necessarily think you need to be number 1 at every competition or all this other sort of stuff in regards to just competition. But I feel if you're a real guy or a real girl and someone that people can relate to, that would be amazing.
Excellent. Are you ready? We have hit the hour mark, so that's all good. We are going to be wrapping it up very, very soon. The bid sits at $280 with Bo Everly, who has already won a auction on our show for a charter. So I know what bows there. Get the bids up. We've got 275 from Amy. You're not far away there. Who else was there? Brady Hyde was still putting some stuff in. So let's get your situational question now. I'm going to give you a good one because I feel you have the ability to answer this one openly and honestly and be a loyal and reliable, like you've just said.
Okay, here we go. That's a real setup.
It's a setup. I've led you into this. I've just guided you straight in. Rightio. I'm going to put my glasses on because the writing's a bit small. There's always that one competitor that is an absolute pain in the ass. They've always got that story that they've done one better than you or done something to get one up on you. You get partnered with them on the same boat of the day. How do you handle that situation on the boat?
Okay. Can I say?
I can switch to an ad and give you some time to think about it if you want. I don't have an ad. I'll just make one up.
No, that's all right. Can I just say for the situation that this is the first day of the comp?
It could be the first day. It could be the second session. It could be, you're a co-boater and you've drawn some absolute turd of a person that you disrespect totally or don't like or have had a run-in with or whatever the scenario goes. How do you handle that situation? I've seen it many times in many different ways.
So I guess the first thing would be, like I've mentioned just earlier, is communication would be key. If there's been some beef before, which, that happens in life, one of the first things I'd do would be go and find them before we get on the water and have a conversation with them. And I would be honest with them. If there had been, let's say it was a run-in we had before where we had disagreed, had a verbal argument, and then walked our separate ways and hadn't had a resolution to the argument, is I would go find them, have a conversation with them, and open up about that situation that we had there, because we were about to be on the water for 8 hours together, and the last thing we want to do is be either completely dead silent and not working together as a team, and also don't want to get into another altercation where someone might get pushed in the water, because that would suck too.
Preferably then.
Yeah, well, after the conversation, hopefully no one. But I firstly would have that conversation with them. That would be my biggest thing I would do, because I've had a lot of times through my working career where there's been altercations in the workplace of miscommunication, and the only thing that has ever fixed it has been actually talking about the issue at hand. So I wouldn't dance around the fact, and I could guarantee if you talk to a lot of people who know me, a spade is a spade. So I would have a frank conversation with them to sort it all out before we get on the water, so that when we do get on the water, even if we're not the best of mates, we're on the same page and we can work together to make this happen. And it would be even better if we come back with the biggest bag for the day at the end of the day, then that would make it even nicer.
Excellent.
So, and the next thing would be to after, because I feel like you could do that on the day, but you don't then want to go away and have something happen. Like if you talk behind people's backs in the circles that we would be fishing in comps like this, it's going to get around really quick. And that's something that I've prided myself on never wanting to do. And I have not done that. And I would make sure that once we got off the boat, I would then be in contact with them after that to say thank you, like I have with every boater. Thank you for having me on the boat. I really appreciated it. I learned a lot off you. Maybe next time we get on the water, we can have another go and, go from there. So I feel like communication before, during on the boat as well, making sure we're all on the same page. And then afterwards, always following up with a thank you for having me, because like we've said, anybody who's a boater in this, no matter if it's the smallest or biggest boat in the field, they've spent a lot of money to get there. They've put a lot of time and effort into being there. And at the end of the day, a thank you for having you on the boat is the least we could do.
Yeah, for sure. Look, I've seen some incidents over my time, and there's been some funny ones and there's been some drastic ones. So one funny one I can remember was at Glenbourne. You know how that red mud at Glenbourne, and some of the guys are, I wouldn't say precious, but they look after. They've got a $70,000-$80,000 boat. They don't want you treading that dirty mud through the deck. Anyway, he said to the boater said to the cowie, clean your feet before you jump on the boat. Even put a towel down for him to stand on. And the cowie just jumped straight up on the front of his boat. So he just kicked him back off of the ground and said, "No, I'm not taking you out. You can go and get stuffed." There are situations where you can't beat it, and sometimes you just got to join it. But I do agree with you. When I've had some absolute pearler co-boaters, I've had some ordinary ones. I've been an ordinary co-boater and I've been an ordinary boater. Nobody's perfect. So you've got to give everyone the respect and the time. Doesn't matter what your personal belief in them. If you're out there together, you're out there to win. So if you can work together, that's going to benefit both of you, isn't it?
Oh yeah, definitely. Especially in a team style event like what we fish, then having that communication on the boat, even when you already get along, makes a huge difference because you're working together so well, and it all molds together and works really, really smoothly for the whole day. Because it's a long day to be concentrating for 8 hours solid trying to get these fish, because that's what happens. You end up not concentrating for 5 minutes and you miss that bite and then you're short in the bag. So, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Now, is Max your brother or father?
He's definitely not my dad. He's my brother.
He's got a great answer there. I've got to bring this up. I love this. Seek to understand before being understood. I haven't actually ever heard, or I can't remember hearing that before, but that is great. Well done, Max. So he might be a mentor for you as well there, Bill.
Already is.
Already is.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, what else have we got to cover, mate? You've done a pearler job. The other boys who we have, Declan, Tristan, done pearler jobs as well. We have Lisa on next week, so we've got a first lady on next week. We'll see how much shame she puts on you boys next week. She's pretty confident. She sent me a message saying she's confident. So that's the best way to be. Is there anything you think we should cover off before we knock off, mate?
No, I think we've covered a fair bit, really. I think we've gone through a fair bit of the journey of where we started at the start of the week and what was going on. I'd like to say a huge thank you to yourself for this opportunity, Brad from Bluefin as well. It's just been one of these things that I said it a million times and I'll say it again. It's an opportunity that's never been on the table before. And I'd love to be the person that is going to be the brand ambassador for Bluefin Boats and be mentored by all these amazing people that you've got around the place and yourself. Just a huge thank you to you both. You've always taken the time for me to have a chat, even if it's just to try and get on when we couldn't get on last night. We still stayed in touch. And, and a huge thank you to my family as well, my wife and my kids and my parents and my brothers, because they've been very supportive along the way. And my brother's always telling me that if you're comfortable with what you're doing, then you're not chasing what you love. So doing this interview and stuff was outside of my comfort zone, but I'm chasing what I love. So that's what I'm here to do.
Yeah, look, I agree. I don't think it's within anyone's comfort zone to do this. I can tell you 33 weeks ago, I'd have to have a nervous crap, a nervous wee, a nervous before I even come on the show. I was so nervous about it. I still get nervous before I come on. I'm nervous for you guys more than myself these days. I'm really proud of every one of you that's done an entry. It's been awesome to see you guys step outside, guys and girls, step outside your comfort zone and put in for this. And I hope that I can I hope that there's more to the situation. I'm hoping that, yes, one of you guys wins a boat for 2 years and the mentorship, and that's absolutely awesome. But I hope it sparks the industry. I'm hoping that we're the first ones to do this, but there are other companies go and do their own thing or come on board with this one, and we make it bigger and better. And, we continue to grow the sport. It's about growing the sport in total. I can see that other companies will go through a process somewhat similar to this. They'll put their own tweaks on it, and it will just benefit the whole sport.
Oh yeah, very much so. And like with your young fella and my young fellas, having an opportunity like this when they get up to, an age where they want to chase a dream such as this, if that's what they want to do, then having this available would just be amazing.
Yeah,
like they just thrive in that sort of atmosphere, being brought up with, what we're going through now.
Yeah, no, dead set for sure, mate. I don't know what the bid ended up on, but I've learnt my lesson. I'm not going to announce who's actually won it until the end of the show. I believe that Bo Everly is currently at $280, but I've got to go through and double check everything tomorrow, and I'll announce that winner next week, whoever won that one. Now,
could I also just say a huge thanks to all my mates who have supported me through this as well, like all the comments and stuff that have come through tonight, having them all here and supporting me through this as well, because as you can probably tell with the comments, they know how passionate I am about all what I do with fishing and where I want to be with it. You could probably ask them the same questions about where I want to be with fishing, and they'd give you the same answer that I've just given you tonight. So huge thank you to all you guys. Thank you so much for being on here tonight.
No, you've got a great support network there, and I can see that. Obviously, I can see that, with the shares that has happened during the week. It's always good to have good people around you. It brings you up to a level. So listen, I think we've chatted enough. I'll get you to stay on air because once I log out, we'll have another chat before, we've got a few more weeks and a few more entries. But next week, Monday night, we have Lisa Craig on, as I said, the first female through to the top 10. And she sent me a text during the week telling me that she's really, really looking forward to kicking your bit of asses. So I'm loving it. I'm loving her keenness in that one. If you do know anyone or know of any companies out there that would be willing to come on board and help sponsor the whole package for this program, get them in contact with me so we can send out a prospectus so they know what's going on. Because what I'd obviously love to do in years to come is, everyone in the top 10 maybe won a prize and so on and so forth. And then the end one gets the boat. So, if we can get some prizes done that way, that would be really cool. And don't forget, biggest guy on the show, Matty Langford, next Sunday night. He's dropping one of the best videos I can say that I've seen, either TV or YouTube, for a long time for tournament fishermen. It gives you a real insight into tournament fishing. I was able to get a preview. Absolutely loved it. It's a 3-part series of the Queensland Open this year. So he's had a cameraman with him filming all his thought process, what he's doing out on the water, why he's doing it. It is absolutely brilliant. It is like being on the boat with him. So that is being dropped at 6 p.m. on Sunday night. So I can't stress enough, get on and watch that. Bill, you've done a wonderful job. Thank you very much. You're in there with a chance. I'm not selecting it. It's all up to Brad. Brad does the selection. I'm just a mentor. So I have to say good luck. And to everyone out there, thank you very much. If there's any late bids, I'll count them later on. But I think we're at $280. That's 3 weeks of physio for Tim. So that's absolutely awesome. Hey, mate, I'm going to cut it off because I can keep talking all night because I've had about six Canadian